Day 6 in Martinique. Today we are heading back up north, not far from the banana museum we visited yesterday, as we make our way towards Sainte-Marie. A day that will take us from the island's rarest natural phenomena to its most authentic traditions. We will explore the famous Tombolo of Sainte-Marie, which you caught a glimpse of in our previous episode. Then, we'll dive into the world of Martinican rum, with a visit to the St. James Distillery, where since 1765, the art of transforming sugarcane into liquid gold has been passed down through generations. Next, we will discover the stunning Habitation La Salle, before treating ourselves at Anse Charpentier, overlooking a breathtaking coastal panorama. Between dramatic nature, industrial heritage, and vibrant traditions, join us for another leg of our journey through Martinique. Welcome to the 6th episode of our adventure in the heart of the French Caribbean. And it's in Sainte-Marie that our day begins with a display as spectacular as it is unpredictable. We are heading to the Tombolo. Today, the conditions are perfect to see it up close. A sandy strip, about 200 meters long, stretches between the islet and the coast. The word comes from Italian and means sandbank. It's a natural process created by the action of swells, tides, and ocean currents. When the right conditions come together, usually between January and April, the passage appears. Today, it's clearly visible, so we won't miss this chance. We take off our shoes on Anse Madame Beach and begin the crossing. First contact with the water. To the left, the Bay of Sainte-Marie, calm. To the right, the Atlantic, more turbulent. Around us, water comes up to our ankles, giving us a strange sensation of walking in the middle of the sea. We even bump into a Canadian tourist who jokes, "This is where Moses walked." That got us all laughing hard. We are surrounded by water, but standing on sand. It's a strange, almost surreal feeling. At the end of the Tombolo lies the Sainte-Marie Islet. Two rocks covered in vegetation, locally known as the mamelons or breasts. There's a wooden walkway leading to hiking trails and informational sign. Everything is well set up for visitors. We decide to climb the rock on the right. A short walk on a well-marked trail. At the top, the view is breathtaking. On one side, the other islet rising in front of us. On the other, the Atlantic coastline stretching out with Sainte-Marie in the background. Its cliffs, its colorful rooftops, and in the distance, we can even spot the St. James Distillery, our next stop. It's a simple, raw place, but rich in sensations. The constant wind, the salty air, the ever-changing light, the cries of seabirds. In fact, part of the islet is closed from April to August to protect the nesting of roseate terns, a rare bird that comes to breed here. And we realize how lucky we are, because when the tide rises again, everything will disappear until next time. There's no fixed schedule for this natural wonder. Nature decides. We head back down and skip the other rock. You can visit both peaks of the islet in about an hour, but we have to move on. Next stop, the St. James Distillery, which we had just glimpsed from our lookout point. Even though there are hundreds of tombolos around the world, this one gave us a truly rare moment. Back to the beach, feet in the warm sand, with the feeling of having experienced something truly special. After this marine interlude, the atmosphere shifts. We are off to discover another of Sainte-Marie treasures, its rum. We leave the Sainte-Marie islet, still under the spell of the Tombolo, and just a few minutes later, we arrive at the St. James Distillery. In the parking lot, activity is already buzzing. Tractors, loaded with sugarcane, move back and forth. Their trailers overflowing with freshly cut golden stalks. A sweet aroma fills the air, that unmistakable scent of rum in the making, instantly transporting us into the world of the Caribbean. And without realizing it, we are visiting at a very special time. St. James is celebrating its 260th anniversary. We enter the estate and purchase our tickets for the full tour, including the little train. The grounds are vast, well maintained, and open for visitors to explore freely. But before heading off through the plantations, we take time to visit the Alembic Museum. The moment we step inside this former industrial hall, we are struck by the atmosphere. The scent of oxidized copper blends with the lingering traces of alcohol that have soaked into the walls over decades. Before us stand bronze giants, century-old steels, elegant Creole columns with perfect curves, steam engines with intricate mechanisms. We approach these relics with a sense of reverence. Our hands raise the time-worn copper. And we imagine the heat that once radiated from these roaring machines, the choreography of workers moving around them. Each object tells a story of an era, of technical progress, of craftsmanship handed down through generations. It's a true journey through time, showcasing the evolution of distillation since the 18th century. A wave of emotion rises as we take in the beautifully preserved industrial heritage. It's time to hop aboard the little train, a former steam train lovingly restored by a local enthusiast association. It slowly sets off toward the plantations. The train jolts gently as it begins to move. Around us stretch vast fields of sugarcane, banana trees, and palms. The landscape rolls by slowly, giving us time to observe and understand. For about 40 minutes, we cover 2.5 kilometers of farmland winding through the estate's 300 hectares. Suddenly, the train slows down. We are approaching a road. Our guide calmly gets off, walks up to the pavement, and signals the cars to stop. A totally surreal scene. The visit continues as our guide climbs back aboard and begins explaining everything: the different sugarcane varieties, the crop cycles, manual and mechanical harvesting, the transport to the distillery. We even get a few botany lessons with live specimens shown to us along the way. After this journey through the heart of Martinique's land, we arrive at Habitation La Salle. Founded at the end of the 17th century, it was one of the island's very first sugar-producing sites. As we step off the train, we quite literally travel back in time, 3 centuries into the past. Everything here has been carefully restored. We walk among buildings made of volcanic stone. Discover old wooden mills, irrigation canals, and the gilt ivory where tafia was once distilled. This is where the ancestor of agricultural rum was born. We follow the historical sugarcane process, from crushing to fermentation, just as it was done 300 years ago. And in a small separate building, we find the rum workshop. Here, the La Salle blends are bottled by hand, sealed with red wax, and personalized using pyrography. These are high-end limited editions made exclusively from fresh local sugarcane juice. A moving return to the origins, a direct connection to the gestures of the past. The space also features the J. Bailly brand. Since both labels share a similar positioning, they are presented together in the same shop. After the visit, we board the train once again to return to the main estate. The sun has risen, and the fields take on a different color. Back at the distillery, we continue our tour with the St. James House Museum. This time, we delve into the brand's full history, revealed in meticulous detail. It all began in 1765 in Saint-Pierre with Reverend Father Edmond Lefébure, a man of both faith and science. To fund the hospital he managed, he created a sugar factory, then a vinegar plant, and finally began producing a refined rum intended for export to the English colonies in America. But the original name, Trouvaillant, was unpronounceable for English speakers. So, as a nod to the neighboring estate, Saint-Jacques, these men of God chose a more suitable name, St. James, the English translation of Jacques. The brand was officially registered in 1882 by Paulin Lambert, a visionary merchant from Marseille. That same year also saw the birth of the iconic square bottle, a practical innovation to maximize space in the cargo holds of ships. Revolutionary for its time. St. James would go on to survive centuries and many trials. In 1902, the eruption of Mont Pelé destroyed Saint-Pierre but miraculously spared the estate. 1973 marked a turning point for St. James. The Cointreau company acquired the brand and consolidated all production in Sainte-Marie, a strategic choice, a single site, located right next to the plantations, on sun-drenched and fertile land. In 1996, St. James earned the Martinique AOC designation, the first overseas AOC ever granted for an alcoholic beverage. In 2003, La Martiniquaise acquired the St. James rums. Today, it stands among the world's largest producers of agricultural rum. From one of the Caribbean's most expensive estates, 700 hectares of sugarcane, including 380 owned outright. The distillery processes freshly pressed cane juice through 6 Creole column stills, producing 4 million liters annually, the equivalent of nearly 6 million bottles, across more than 80 different expressions. Everything happens on site, in a self-sufficient facility that actually generates more power than it consumes, ensuring complete control from cane to bottle. Now exported to over 50 countries across Europe, North America, and beyond. This global ambassador of Martiniquan rum invites us to experience its true essence. And then comes the long-awaited moment, the tasting. In a quiet space, facing the very plantations we just explored, we are introduced to 3 expressions of St. James rum: white agricole, aged in oak, and old rum. From the most intense and vegetal to the most complex and fruity, each blend tells the story of this house, its land, and the craftsmanship passed down for 260 years. This was our very first visit to a rum distillery, and clearly, it won't be the last. We didn't expect to be so captivated. There's a unique atmosphere here, both peaceful and steeped in history. A true concentration of Martiniquan heritage, blending craftsmanship, memory, and serenity. A rich, authentic world that we are eager to keep exploring. We continue our journey north and make a brief stop at Anse Charpentier. A wild beach, lined with coconut trees, open to the Atlantic Ocean. Here, the waves are powerful, the current dangerous, and swimming is strongly discouraged. But that's precisely what draws surfers, and we do spot a few. We take a moment to launch a drone flight, though it's heavily shaken by the gusty wind. Our day in the north of Martinique comes to an end. Between the Tombolo, rum, wild landscapes, and forgotten heritage, this day has sparked a desire to explore more distilleries, more history, and more untamed scenery. Luckily for us, the journey isn't over yet. In the next episode, we'll explore the slave Savannah, the pottery village, and discover some of the most beautiful beaches in Martinique, Anse Noire, Anse du Four, Grande Anse, and Petite Anse d'Arlet. Not to mention this iconic Diamond Beach and many more surprises. See you soon for more discoveries.